Howdy guys, today we're going to do a video on how to mat the doors in the rear wall in your Toyota Tundra. This happens to be a 2016 Toyota Tundra Crew Max. This is the 1794 edition. In 14, 15, and 16, it's pretty easy to mat the doors. 13 and below, it's still easy to mat the doors, but there's a couple steps, so we'll probably have to do a separate video on that. What we're going to do now is, let me think here. There's videos already on how to remove the door panel, so we'll just sort of fast forward through that part. If you go to our YouTube channel and find how to remove the door panels or install speakers, you'll find step by step. So anyhow, Mike's going to jump in here. He's going to take off the door panels on the front and the rear door. He's going to start matting, and then he's going to kind of give you some tips and things to look out for when you're installing your matting. So let me readjust the camera and we'll get rocking. All right guys, another angle here. Mike's going to jump in here and take off the front door panel. If you guys, we're going to fast forward through this part, so if you look on our YouTube channel, we actually have videos on how to do this part already, so just wanted to give you guys a quick rundown. Mike will be jumping in here in a second, and we'll get this. If you're following through our installation series, like you're doing one of our full installation packages, we highly recommend getting a couple boxes so you don't lose any of your parts. Bigger parts, obviously, you'll need a bigger box. Get a small box for all the small screws and parts. Last thing you want to do is lose these parts. They're very expensive at the dealership. So just a quick tip: grab a box before you start and just throw everything in the box so you know where it goes. Make a mental note of each screw. Again, we do have detailed videos on this stuff, but the biggest thing is just make mental notes of where the screws go, and it makes it a lot easier to put back together. All right, let's get this thing rocking.
I do take this one step further, and I do remove all of the wiring that is connected onto the door panel, which is all of this connection. I'll take this box off because you'll want to make sure the paneling is as close to the wall of the door as you can. So I'll pull all of that off. I like to turn these inside out, put them out, so that when I put the matting, I can see where these go, so that I can tie wrap all the wiring back. That way, if you do have an issue with wiring per se in the future, you can get to the wires. Because if you cover it with the matting, you'd have to tear off the matting just to get to the wiring, and you don't want to do that. You'll definitely want to be careful when taking these wires off. You do not want to cut a wire, because you do not want to fix a wire. But this one right here, I believe, goes to an airbag. Which reminds me, before I disconnect this one, you want to disconnect the battery before you remove any of these yellow plugs, because those are airbag and you do not want those to come off. I will pull this down, and I will stuff all of the wiring inside the door. That way it's out of the way and you can get to the wall of the door to mat everything. And then once I'm done, you cut out all of these little clips from the matting, and you can just put all the wiring back. That way it's accessible if there comes to be an issue with any of the wires. you're going to want to leave the window up, because when removing the wiring and all of that, what I do is I put it inside the door, and with the window down you don't have as much space, and you don't really want to risk scratching the tint with anything that you're going to put inside the door like these or the wires, so just make sure you leave the the window up. Be careful when you're doing anything with these. This one right here with the white cap goes to the door lock, and you do not want to bend this because it will stay bent. So anything you're doing, don't do a tight bend, do a wide bend, and try to keep it straight as long as you can. That's pulling apart the door. So the matting we like to use ballistic matting. It is a little bit thicker. It's roughly about 30% thicker. We get it by the bulk. This is the box that it comes in. If you get matting, you get it by the sheet. What I like to do is I like to get all of it out of the box, which it comes rolled up like that. I'll take it all out of the box, and I'll unroll it to where it's flat, because that's how you're going to work with it, and you might as well have it all started that way. Okay, I don't like taking off the whole sheet of backing on the matting itself, because if it were to fold and you touch matting to matting, you're not going to get that apart. It's just a pain in the butt. So I like to do little by little. So take off maybe 4 or so inches of it, and then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get this placed where you want it, but don't put a whole lot of pressure, because if you have to move it, that's going to be a pain. So I like to do a corner, and I like to do a corner, and then you see how much that's going to cover. If you need to move it, you can move it still without it being that tough. So I like the positioning of this. I'm going to go ahead and press down the top. And from here, I'm going to work my way from the top and then go down. And as I go down, I'm going to keep pulling the paper from under it and then just press it more and more. One of the tools I suggest you get, if you're going to do this right, is a roller. What it is, it's just a rubber roller. It almost looks like a small version of a tortilla roller. This helps get the matting pressed to the door evenly. So all you do is you roll it down. And like I said, you start from the top. I start from the top and I work my way down. Right here already is the screw for the door handle. That's why I leave the screws in. Right here, I'm just going to get a razor blade and I'm going to cut this out. Just a little square. Take that off, and there's your screw. I have one here from the motor that was right here, so I'm going to cut that one out too. I have one here, the other screw from that motor. Roll it a little bit. You have a little rubber button right here. I would suggest you go ahead and cut that out as well. That little button gives you access to a bolt that's inside the wall. So if you ever need to get to it, you'll want to do this beforehand. This right here is one of those little clips for the wiring. So I'll cut that out too. Right here sticking up, you have the two screws for the mount that holds the door panel up. So we'll go ahead and just do one big rectangle, get all of those taken care of. And then right under it, you have another one of these clips. Right here is where you have the hole that the wire for the door lock and the door handle went. So right here you're going to want to cut a hole. Of course you don't want to cut out a big hole that just brings in too much air. So what I do is about right here, I'll cut out the corner, just make a little T. And what I do with that is I fold that in. Reach under, and that's how you're gonna get to the wires for the handle. But again, very careful with these. You don't want to bend it permanently. Big bends, don't crease it. And that's it. That's through. And you just continue coming down a little bit further until you're done with the issue. On the front door, you have 4 screws for the speaker. You're going to want to make sure you find this one, and you're going to want to make sure you cut that one out. And then you want to make sure you cut this out. This is where the wires came through. And it goes to there. Just follow the line. That's it. The bigger pieces I do save. The little pieces I do trash. Good. One of the little things that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure you have matting coming all the way around here. That way, when you put your speaker mount, what it's going to do is, as you tighten down that speaker mount, this is also going to create a seal between the speaker mount and the door panel. So you're not going to get any air coming through that, or you're not going to get any rattling. It'll help with that sound as well. So just make sure you go around the edge of the speaker hole itself.
All right, so if you are into sound quality, I mean, you really like the really clean, crisp sound, restore the bass that the factory head unit has detuned out. Don't forget to check out the Taco Tunes Recurve EZ-Q. It makes adding amps really quick and easy. You don't have to cut, splice, no taps, no nothing. Be sure to check it out. It's a really neat product. It's mainly for people that are looking for really good sound quality. Generally, if you're going to be replacing your speakers and a subwoofer and you're after really high-end sound, this is the product that you're looking for. This video on how to add a subwoofer is for people that just want to add a little bump, but generally if you're looking for high quality, really good quality sound, this is what you're looking for right here. Be sure to check it out. We've got all kinds of videos and there's all types of videos and instructionals and everything to help get it set up. Alright, so let's get back to installing the subwoofer.
What I like to do here is we're going to cut one of the sheets, but what I like to do is say I'll overlap about an inch, inch and a half. I like to get a tape measure and I'm going to measure the widest area. So the widest area is going to come down to about right here. So inch and a half up, down, that's about 9.5 inches. So what I'm going to do is get a straight edge eraser and a brand new sheet. I'm going to measure 9.5 inches from the top of a sheet. Make a small cut, 9.5 inches to the other side. Small cut. I'll get the straight edge. And I'll cut right there. I don't want to damage my table, so I'm cutting really soft, so I will have to make 2 cuts. You could press a little bit harder as long as you're not worried about scratching the table with the razor blade. Definitely save the big piece. The 9.5 inch piece we have right here. So measure it up, 9.5 inch, and about an inch and a half overlap. And then only thing you have to cut really is this little corner. And then whatever's over the speaker, so you're not wasting a whole lot. Be very careful, the matting's sharp. You will get cuts like it's from a razor blade. I don't like to use the roller over this because there's nothing behind it. All you're going to do is push it in. So after I cut this out, what I like to do is I like to reach my hand in and make sure my hand is on the back side, and I'll guide it and I'll roll it that way. So here's where I reach my hand in. Just make sure that there's a good seal in here. So after you're done with the matting, And if you ended up putting the clips on backwards and replacing them, you're going to be able to come in and carefully remove these wire harnesses. They tend to get caught on everything possible. This is where you can put all the wiring back. So of course you have the grommet. What I like to do is I like to get everything plugged in to where it went. So that's up there. This is for your tweeter. This can go out of the way. You don't want to cut any of that just in case you decide to sell. You can put everything back. That's there, that's there. So now you have kind of a glimpse of where everything went. Get yourself a few tie wraps and start putting everything back on the clips. I don't This is the one that went to your speaker. Go ahead and tie wrap that down because you're not going to use that anymore. Again, I don't like cutting off these connections because if we decide we're going to sell this truck and we don't want to sell the system with it, I can put everything back to factory. Just food for thought. This one, again, I don't tighten all the way because I'm going to run a wire through there. Same with this one. You can go ahead and get yourself a pair of wire cutters and just cut off the ends of these. It's not hugely necessary, but more visually appealing. Some of this you can already put back. We're not going to need this anymore. Scratch that. I don't want them to throw it away. Some of this you can already put back. We're not going to need to remove this anymore. That door is ready. We can get started on the rear door now.